That was like one of the most intense, passionate services I've ever been to. I am talking like what you would see in the movies, like preacher up there screaming at the top of his lungs. Like, I was worried the dude was gonna pass out or drop dead of a heart attack. But everybody in the pews are like hooting and hollering. When it was time for prayer, everybody like prayed on their own but out loud, so you just heard a bunch of people praying. My girls were like, what are we supposed to do? And I said, just bow your head, just pray like we normally do, or pray out loud if you want, whatever. The pastor even had his shoes off during the service because he did not stand up on a stage like talking to us. He was actually walking up and down the aisle, like touching and shaking hands and like holding people's hands while he's preaching, but I'm talking loud, passionate preaching. I think at first it kind of scared my kids, but I actually really appreciated it. Like, it was so clear how passionate everyone in that church was about God. And how weird is it that today they were preaching from Mark chapter 9, which is literally talking about turning unbelievers into believers. And if you know my whole story, it was just weird that that was what they were preaching on today. In the middle of the service, my 8-year-old, I wrote it down, she actually leaned over and said, Mommy, I really like it here. There was no big band. Everything was acoustic. They just had like people from the congregation getting up, playing the guitar, singing along. There was song. Like, I wasn't sure like if Baptist did singing and all that. It was beautiful. During the music, like, people are up, they're cheering, they're yelling, someone was stomping. Again, like, if you're not used to that, like, I feel like I have had a very vanilla church experience after what I experienced today. There were times where like maybe it made me feel a little uncomfortable, but I just really appreciated the passion. Oh, and to answer everybody's question, my main concern about churches that are asking for money, not once was money ever brought up. They did pass around the little tray, everybody threw in what they could, and then that was it. And while he was passing around the tray, he never made like an announcement about money and giving and tithing. Like I said, that turns me off. They did not do that today. Everybody at this church seems to be related. It's like, oh, that's my cousin, that's my aunt. Everybody was super welcoming, and I did not end up going by myself. My 2 oldest daughters went with me, which I thought was really sweet. I also did not realize that here in these little mountain towns, they do something at their churches called a homecoming for like people that moved away from the town and then they come back. Well, we were there during the homecoming week for this church, which meant it was not your typical service. It ended up being like a 2-hour service. My girls sat perfectly through it. I was so proud of them. And then because today was like a special homecoming day, they did have like some guest singers and stuff. So I don't think the sermons are usually this long. Like, the service was 2 hours long, but they also had a potluck afterwards. And everybody told me that the best thing about Baptist churches are their potlucks. It just so happened they had a big old homecoming potluck. You guys, I'm gonna show a picture here. They would not let me leave without weeks worth of leftovers, okay? It was the most amazing food I've ever tasted in my life. I am talking tables full of just homemade desserts, green beans fresh from the garden, casseroles galore. And everybody was so welcoming. Like, and it was all different ages, right? Super elderly crowd, like probably in their 90s, middle-aged people. You had like young parents like myself. There were kids, not many, like maybe 10 total. If you go back and watch the video before this one, I said that I really wanted to find a church that talked from the Bible, like spoke from the Bible. They did, but it wasn't like, you know, we're opening our Bibles and we're studying a scripture together. It was like we open our Bibles to Mark, he reads a little verse, and then he just like went crazy, like walking up and down, hooting, hollering, yelling, like literally red in the face, veins popping out, sweating, becoming hoarse from like the whole thing. And then he would like go back up, he'd read another little part of the Bible, walk back down, do his thing. So it wasn't like what I'm used to, like sit down, we're gonna read this verse, we're gonna study it, we're gonna break it down, what it means, which like I don't really know what I like better, because being there today in that church, like I felt passionate myself. I was like yeah, right? But I also need that like sit down, study, break it down verse by verse. But again, today's service was different because it is that homecoming service. So I don't know if I got like the true experience. I loved how kid friendly everything was. Like, they brought the kids up, they had the kids sing, didn't care about crying babies in the back. A lot of kids had like brought little toys and stuff. Overall, I loved it. My kids loved it. I was thinking the whole time, like, if my husband was here right now, like, how would he receive this? Like, would it be a little too much for him coming from like the Catholic church, being raised in the Catholic church, or would this ignite a fire in him as well? So we're definitely gonna go back. We have the non-denominational church, Methodist church, the Catholic church that we're gonna try out. But my kids really like this one, and I feel like I need to give it another chance, like with the whole family, and get like the full experience.